Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. Today, we're going to be looking at the story of Ahmed,
Okay.
who built this like incredible supermarket empire.
Mm.
And it's really fascinating because it's not just the typical, kind of rags to riches story. You know what I mean? Like we really want to dig into like what makes this story special.
Right.
Um, and one of the things I found so interesting when I was reading about him was that, he ended up building this massive chain of supermarkets. But his first business was something so different,
Really?
so humble. It was really fascinating.
Yeah. I think one of the things that's so striking about his story is that, he didn't come from like a family of entrepreneurs or anything like that. He was born in a village, and his father ran the only shop in the village.
Oh, why?
So, really catering to the needs of this entire community.
I mean, that in itself must have been a whole education.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, just growing up and watching his father navigate the needs of all these different people, understanding, the supply and demand in that kind of limited market and just the personal relationships he must have had to build with each of those customers. I
Yeah.
mean, it wasn't just about selling groceries, it was about being this lifeline for the entire village.
So did he always know he wanted to go into business then?
Well, he went on to study business management
Okay.
in college, but for him it wasn't just like checking a box, you know.
Hmm.
He really wanted to use that knowledge
Yeah.
to create something
Yeah.
of his own. He didn't just want to work in a business, he wanted to build a business.
I mean, I think that's something a lot of people can relate to.
Yeah.
So he gets out of business school. He's got all this knowledge. What does he do? He opens a small fruit and vegetable shop,
Interesting.
which when I read that, I was like, what?
Why?
I mean, why not something bigger,
Yeah. I mean, we all love those flashy startup stories, but sometimes the most brilliant moves are the simplest ones. Think about what he learned growing up. He knew produce.
Okay.
He knew the dynamics of a small market. And, chances are he probably already had supplier connections from his village.
Oh, that's interesting.
So it was a really strategic move, starting with something he knew.
Makes sense. So I bet those early days were tough, though.
Oh, absolutely. We tend to kind of glamorize entrepreneurship, but we forget about all the hard work. In those early years, the grinding. I mean,
Yeah.
picture this. Up before sunrise, hauling crates, dealing with the weather, which could impact his stock, negotiating with suppliers, building those relationships with each customer.
Right.
I mean, those are the moments where you really build resilience.
So through all that, he stayed true to his principles.
Exactly. I mean, he could have cut corners, especially in those early days
Right.
when money's tight. But he knew that trust was essential in that kind of community-based business.
Yeah.
And he really focused on that, providing the highest quality produce, even if that meant maybe making a little bit less profit in the beginning. That's so interesting because that seems so counterintuitive.
Yeah.
Like in today's market, everyone's about like, growth and scale and all that.
Yeah.
But he focused on that quality.
Well, and it's all about those long-term relationships.
Yeah.
He recognized that trust,
Mm-hmm.
especially in that kind of close-knit community, was incredibly valuable.
Yeah.
More valuable than any kind of marketing campaign.
So how did he go from this small shop to this huge supermarket chain?
Well, that's where his business acumen really shines through. He didn't just expand for the sake of expanding. He was really in tune with the market, and he knew when it was the right time to scale up, embrace technology, and
Yeah.
adapt to those changing customer needs.
So his business is growing, he's becoming more and more successful. But the thing that I find so inspiring is that he never forgot where he came from.
Absolutely. He opened a large supermarket in his village,
Yeah.
and he made sure that his community benefited from his success. It wasn't just about him. It was about giving back to the people and the place that really shaped him. So Ahmed's story isn't just like a business success story. It's a story about integrity, hard work, understanding the market and knowing how to adapt. But what stands out to you?
I think one of the key takeaways for me is that success isn't always about having this, groundbreaking idea. It's about taking what you know,
Mm,
understanding your market, building those relationships, and really focusing on that long-term trust. And Ahmed shows that sometimes the most ordinary skills can actually be the foundation for extraordinary achievement.
and that's something for all of us to think about. What knowledge do we have? What seemingly simple skills do we possess that we could turn into something incredible? That's something to think about. Thanks for joining us for another deep dive. We'll see you next time.